guys, and welcome back to Truth Bombs and Hot Flushes, where midlife gets real, raw, and unfiltered. Today, we have someone who truly embodies resilience, authenticity, and love in every sense. Entrepreneur, renowned businessman, and proud husband, Keegan. Welcome, Keegan.
Wow, thank you. Thanks for that great introduction. Good to be here with you, Shanti, at Truth Bombs and Hot Flushes. I'm going to bring the truth bombs in it and not maybe the hot flush part.
I'm sure. So, Keeks, tell me, what's 3 words that would best describe who you are?
Oh, that's a tough one because there could be a multitude of words. But I think maybe the 3 that pops in my head is passionate, kind-hearted, and gosh, what's the other one? There's so many. Maybe
No, you always use
fun.
Okay. Can I hit a bit of conflicted in there?
Yes, actually, you're right. Yes.
Why I had to pop that in there because you always describe yourself with that specific word, always. So I could not just let that word go.
Yeah, I feel when I say there's so many words because not all of us are set to a certain type or a certain way
sure.
of how we can describe ourselves. People can look at me as exciting, energetic, fun. And then there are people that can look at me as moody, irritable, frustrating. And I think a combination of the good and the bad makes me me.
Oh, of course.
So, I'm a lot of words, not necessarily maybe just 3.
No, I can absolutely relate. I think we all have a bit of conflictedness in us because we have the love, the fun-loving, crazy part of us, and then you have the serious, and then also throw in some moodiness. And
well, definitely, because I feel we're multi-layered as human beings, and we cannot be the best of something without having all those layers.
Oh, 100%.
It definitely makes us who we are and who we should be and how the world perceives us and how we perceive ourselves.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So let's get into it. I have the pleasure of meeting and playing with, should I say, the queen of the castle when we got here, the ruler of the coop, Miss Peanut. So I know you and Grant are daddies to a beautiful fur baby, Peanut. So give us the insight on what it's like being a fur daddy.
Well, firstly, Peanut is what you guys know her as, but she's actually named Penelope Winona.
Wow.
And yes, there's like an inside joke. We always say that Penelope was conceived in France, and she had a sister, Francesca Melanero, and that was when we were in Italy. Just a little bit
I love it.
An inside joke there.
Oh gosh, beautiful.
But I can tell you that Peanut has been in our lives for the last 14 years. She is our life. She is the light of this house. She is the one that brings the most joy. She is exceptionally wonderful to us, very moody as well. And she dictates how we live our lives.
That we know.
She definitely does. In every aspect, our lives are planned around how we can accommodate our little fur baby. And it's been a beautiful journey having her in our lives. We feel complete with her.
That's special. That's special. Now I get why she is the ruler of the group.
Yes, she is the queen of this castle.
Yes. She's true to her name.
Absolutely.
So, on to more of a serious note, I know Penelope is your baby, Grant's baby, but I do know not so long ago you guys attempted to start the journey on adoption. And I've just thrown this in there, so you can delve further or not. But how was that? How was that process? And how far did you get into the process?
Well, from the onset, I can tell you we haven't gotten very far on that. But we have been together for quite a long time. In the beginning of our relationship, the first couple of years, I don't think we had any intention or plan to have an intention of becoming parents. I think we were young and we just wanted to be young, wild, and carefree. And obviously, as the years grew and we started getting closer, there was a point in our lives where we decided, naturally, I think any couple, when they are together for a long time, be it whether you are in a gay relationship or in a straight relationship, there will always come that time where you would have to sit down and make that decision if you want to expand your family.
Yeah, of course.
And they did come a time when we wanted to do that. It was a time where it was exciting, it was very stressful, we were very vulnerable. And a lot of those feelings probably is where we are now with the outcome, with not actually having adopted. I don't want to go too much into detail, but just in general, we pre-COVID, we got in contact with a social worker, an adoption agency. And of course, not really having a full in-depth knowledge of how adoption works, we were trying to gain as much information as we possibly can. However, some of that information that we got took us with a bit of surprise. That there is still very much a situation where people within the LGBTQTI sort of spectrum are not fairly treated, or treated fairly, I should say, as opposed to the counterpart of the average straight couple looking to adopt. There's a lot more that goes into it when it comes to us. Adoption agencies are not as open with wanting to pursue it. And I mean, I could be wrong, because you could speak to other couples, gay couples, who didn't have this experience.
Yes.
With us, it definitely felt it would be a little bit of a harder journey. With that being said, we still pushed forward, tried to get ourselves further into it. And sadly and unfortunately, COVID happened. And our first appointment that was scheduled for that year that COVID happened is the same month that we were put down on a lockdown. So we lost that appointment. It also takes a very long time to get an appointment. And then the journey of COVID began, and then the years of that went by, and then time just didn't allow us to get back to that spot, because so much happened within that COVID time that it also then made me rethink, do I want to do this? One of the things that was bothering me is if we were hit with this disease, and if something happened and we did have this little child, what would have happened to that child? I think it played a big role on what our decisions going to be going forward.
So you looked at it from a very different perspective.
Very different perspective. I think also, with that being said, it didn't phase us in a bad way, because you can't miss something that you didn't have.
Oh, of course.
So I'm surrounded, and Grant is also surrounded by we have a lot of nieces and nephews. And they now sort of have taken over and started to fill in that void. And I think we don't feel like we're missing anything. I think the time, if it was meant to be, it would have been. Because I do believe that God guides you and directs you on where He needs you to be. What's your destiny, basically?
100%.
And things must happen organically. And there was too many of us stumbling blocks. So it was just probably not meant for us. But we're at peace with that. We're quite content and happy,
That's good to know. Thanks for sharing that. I know it's something so sensitive and delicate as well, and I know I've just thrown it at you. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for opening up about that. I think there's a lot of people that are going or attempting this process, and not knowing what the outcome could be, and the sensitivity behind it, and having to not know but also build up an excitement towards it is, it's a hard one.
I can tell you this much. I think my my experience shouldn't be a deciding factor for anybody.
Yeah.
As we say, everyone has their own
different
journeys and their
needs.
own desires
Yes.
and needs.
Yes.
For me personally, I was not prepared to being. When you are part of the LGBT community, you are already on the front line of being, like not taken as seriously. Should I say?
Yeah.
So one of the things that put me off is what we found out is that when a child is sort of matched with you and they place the child in your care, but you don't necessarily, you cannot solidify that is your child as of immediately. There's like a 6 months waiting process and like a resting period. And the birth mother can actually in 6 months time make a decision that they want their baby back. So you know what, that's like it's a deep, heavy feeling. It's not going to be easy to start developing a relationship and a bond, and then 6 months later this happens. For me, how I looked at it, that the chances of that happening with us as a gay couple would be far higher than that of a straight couple. I didn't want to risk it, and I didn't want to chance it. As I said initially as well, it wasn't as if we felt like we were missing out on anything. So that deep yearning desire wasn't there. It was either or. If we got it and we had it and we went down that path, fantastic. And we didn't, and it's still fantastic.
Yeah, of course.
But I definitely would say that to parents who want to, couples who want to be parents and cannot do it the natural way, they must go down all avenues. There's IVF, there's adoption, there's a lot of ways. So please go ahead and do it. Each person's experience is different.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always would tell my kids, Mom doesn't have to grow a baby in her tummy for them to be your sibling. You know? It's
it's a personal decision, personal choices.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So, thanks again for that. To more of midlife. I think, me as a woman, I've always looked at midlife as a woman thing, you know. Women are going through perimenopause. Women are going through menopause. Because listen, in all honesty, we're going through a lot in our 40s. And then I think we forget that men also go through midlife.
Absolutely.
You know, this very exhilarating phase, you know, but also daunting phase.
Yes.
So from a male perspective, what has it been like for you getting into your 40s? The highlights and the downsides of it.
There's definitely a lot more lowlights. Well, it's been an interesting... I'm 2 years in my 40s. I'm 42. I can tell you, I never ever saw myself reaching 42.
Yeah.
When you're younger, 40 is like 80.
You're like a fossil. It's like, 40 is
in the gay community, I'm like 150. So
I love it.
So, what I will say has been, for me, it's been very interesting. My 40s didn't start off with a bang. There's that, people often say, life begins at 40.
Yeah.
I beg to differ.
Okay.
From my experience. With me, when I turned 40, my body decided it's going to start shutting down. I got into a very bad situation where I had to have spinal surgery. So I literally kick-started my 40 in that. It was a very, very stressful, traumatic recovery period. And I didn't enjoy it. And then not long after that, I was then diagnosed with diabetes and high blood pressure.
That must have came out of like nowhere, like, this is like old people stuff. And then you realize, okay, I fall in that category.
Absolutely.
I'm, in my 40s.
You do. You do think it. That was what my gran and grandfather had.
That's it.
Older aunts and uncles. But
that's something I need to be concerned about.
The reality is that it does happen. So,
newsflash.
So if you really look at it, midlife doesn't actually start at 40. It starts even early. If you take the average lifespan of a person, we could just put it down to 70. 35 is where your midlife begins. So the decline started like 7 years back for me.
It just didn't hit home because
No.
we were in our 30s and flourishing. So,
but if you take the health side of things out, I think the pros of being in your 40s and growing in your 40s is that we are much more intelligent, much more smarter, and based off all the experience we had over the last 2 decades gives us that that gusto to say, you know what, we can actually navigate life. It's not all bad. It's just trying to understand how you can navigate through that.
That's it. And I think also it's like, it doesn't hit home sometimes that, we've got to change lifestyles. And because our body's going, so we going. And then you hear this, boom, no, I've high blood pressure. I've got diabetes. Which our old Indian aunties would be like, I've got sugar,
and heart.
And heart. How cute. But the reality is, I'm sure it must have like woke you up to a point of, oh gosh, I need to start taking my health seriously now because of this and this and this. And then you now go back to, my mom had it, dad, my uncle, my gran, and then you're like, oh my God, I now just fell in that, So what were your steps? What, I know the reality hit you hard with, I have this now. What do I do? We clearly can't reverse it, but how do we
live with it?
Actually live with it?
Well, what I want to actually just touch on is when I had my spinal surgery, I did not know or think I did, but my anxiety kicked in. The recovery of that spinal surgery sent me into a very downward spiral. My body actually had very bad adverse reactions to all the medications. So I was experiencing things and feelings that I never had before. So my anxiety first started. So before even dealing with the diabetes and the high blood pressure, I had to deal with that. Luckily, I had a good doctor who helped me navigate that journey. What we picked up is that I had lots of side effects to a lot of medication.
And one of the side effects is anxiety.
One of the side effects is anxiety.
You never told these things though.
Yeah, you don't. Nobody tells you that the recovery could possibly be even harder than the actual procedure. So dealing with that at 40 was really did spin me around. However, what I can say, 2 years later, I've gotten a hold of that, learned to understand what medications I need to take and what I can't take. And I think that's important when you hit 40 is when we say it's time to take your life seriously, it's now trying to be serious on what we put into our bodies.
Of course.
Same with the diabetes. I can't sit here and say I've had the most perfect background of eating healthy and going to the gym and exercising, because I've never done that at all. But both my parents, my grandparents, most of my aunts and uncles are all diabetic. So it was inevitable. It's in me, it's in my DNA that I would get it. I think what I should have done in my 30s was get to understand what I know was coming. And when it hit me, then I wouldn't be so shell-shocked about it. What I can say now is I'm also doing baby steps. You can't exactly, if you've been having sugar for 40 years, suddenly say, I'm going to stop this. No, it's trying to find good alternatives, finding different ways of how to manage this, maybe from a natural perspective or even from a medicated point of view. It's definitely made me realize that I have to now take my exercising more seriously, paying attention to how much of drinks I have or how much of fatty foods I want to eat. It's been quite an interesting journey.
I think it wakes you up. I know for me, it wakes you up, because as much as we can say, no, in our 30s, we needed to have taken this seriously so we get onto a good playing field in our 40s. We don't expect all of this in our 40s, because our generation is so different from our parents and our grandparents. If you go back to our parents or grandparents in their 40s and 50s, it seemed like they were in their 70s or 80s
Yeah.
of what we get now.
Yeah, I think they did look much
yes,
older as well.
That's it. So like you don't associate with that. Like, no, I'm 40, but I'm actually 30. You know, you
Yeah.
have that kind of perception and mentality up until these things
Yeah,
hit
you're
you.
there.
And then
You're in the
like,
thick of it now.
okay, you know. But I agree with you. Nothing happens overnight because if it's going to happen overnight, it's going to go right back. You kind of get onto a plane where you're like, I need to make changes, but more of a lifestyle kind of change that's going to carry me through till I'm 80.
That's the word, a lifestyle
That's
change.
it. That's
You
it.
can't feel I'm gonna go in cold turkey and just change my life. You can't. You can never do that.
Doesn't go that way.
So yeah, this baby steps on trying to make those changes, and that's what I've been doing.
Brilliant. Slowly but surely. Yeah.
Yes, getting there.
So I'm going to go back to you and Grant. I know you both have demanding careers with really long hours. What do you guys do to keep the marriage going and kind of keep that spark alive? Because, gosh, sometimes we all know life gets the better of us and that spark seems non-existent. And yeah, it is, reality is, it's difficult. You love your partner.
Absolutely,
you know, but it's just, it becomes slightly more of an effort to make or create that time. So for you guys, what tradition or like ritual that you guys have, what's yours, to just make sure that you have time for each other, you know, in those rare, tiny little moments amidst all the crazy chaos.
Oh, there's lots of chaos.
Yeah.
Even as a couple, there's lots of chaos. I think with us, what works is we have been together for a very long time. I think we're like almost 16, 17 years, but we married for 4.
Okay.
In our relationship, when we started together, Grant was the one that decided his career took off.
Okay.
He was starting to build himself up in his field. I, on the other hand, was not. In hindsight now, I look at it as a blessing in disguise because it allowed me the time to be patient and watch his career grow. And then when mine decided to kick in at later on in life, he was already established, so he could give me that time, as well. With us, how we keep our relationship going is we always take it back to basics. We will constantly call each other wherever we are, traveling. If he's traveling overseas or wherever, we must do that end of day call. We don't necessarily have to sit on the phone like we're 16 and 17 and for hours on end. But just the basic, hey, how are you? How was your day? You had this appointment today. How did that go? Or this, you had something planned for today. How did that go? Just being there as a support structure without physically being there.
Yeah.
So we do that all the time and be consistent on that. And also just still keep our relationship fun.
Yeah.
With us, we definitely take a Sunday off. We basically apply for leave from the realities of life on a Sunday. We both love going to church, so we do that in the morning. And when we get home, we literally shut down.
Yeah.
We shut down our home, we shut down our lives, our cell phones, we shut off. And our big thing that we love to do is cook our favorite foods on a Sunday, and we literally Netflix and chill. Okay. Not that Netflix and chill, like the new age guys.
Yes. Literally Netflix and chill.
Yeah. But that's what we do. We try to keep it as real as possible. Sometimes I feel if you put too much of an emphasis on, we've got to go for this dinner and we've got to go for this lunch and we've got to do this and we've got to do that and buy these expensive gifts. As you get older, that's so irrelevant.
Oh, absolutely.
What matters is the time, the care, the commitment.
Even just that one call in the middle of the day.
Absolutely.
Hey, you thought of me.
Yeah.
And you've known that your partner had such a busy day, but hey,
that's it.
I did cross your mind, and that is
so more. I think that is actually one of the positives that comes with midlife. As I said, you mature so much that things that would upset us, if I was 25 and we had to say, let's cook our food and sit at home, I'd be like, are you crazy? But now at 42, that's like, exactly what I want. But yeah, that's what we do. We just try to keep it real with each other. We try to be there for each other and support each other. That's how I think we keep it going.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, I'm going to go into something that is very, I know it's quite an emotional thing, I think for both of us actually. So you not so long ago lost your mum and our aunt as well to the dreaded
C word.
The C word. I have such PTSD that I don't even like to say it. But yeah, can you just take us through that journey? Because we will delve more into this in the month of October, which is the Big C month. But what was your journey like seeing someone who literally has your heart, your first love, your mum, go through this and walk through that journey for them, and unfortunately the journey came to not the greatest of ends. Just tell us what has it been like?
I will say that situation was probably one of the worst times of my life. Of course, firstly and foremost, it was my mom who ended up getting cancer. But then the play out of that whole time, because she was diagnosed and then she survived that cancer for 5 years and then she passed away. That 5 years of my life was a very tumultuous time in my life. It was a roller coaster of a lot of emotions. I think apart from being very sad on the fact that my mother was diagnosed with cancer, what nobody prepares anyone is how her diagnosis affects people around her. That being my dad and my sister and myself. It impacted each of us in such a different way, but in such a profound way that it's actually changed us. If I talk about myself, I'm a person that's very much in control. I have to be able to know that I can fix things. When my mom was diagnosed with cancer, we immediately didn't even acknowledge or absorb the diagnosis. What we immediately did was, we're going to fight this, we're going to fix this, we're going to...
No two ways.
There's no two ways about it. And that's exactly what I did. We started phoning and getting information, trying to find like holistic treatments, dealing with various oncologists. And eventually she did start her treatment, and that's where we focused. What I didn't pay attention to was the mental health side of this. Not on my mom, because obviously she's going to be mentally drained.
Of course,
But the mental turbulence that comes from her diagnosis onto me. So I was trying to be very, very strong for her, but I was really collapsing on the inside. And how I reacted to that was taking myself out of the ordinary. So a lot of people would go into like a cocoon and be sad, and I did the complete opposite. I became a social butterfly. I went out all the time. I partied all the time.
Just to like block off.
I think so. I think it was an absolute detriment to me, because you cannot block off things. You have to be able to face it. In hindsight, what I should have done was be like, say it, oh my God, I'm devastated. I'm going to lose my mother.
Speak it.
And what I did was, let's just party on. So that is where I can say now that it was a very, very stressful time. Then in my mom's treatment, she got the all clear. So the treatment worked. Her operations were all successful, and she was given
like the best day ever.
So it was the best day. I remember that she got the response on the fact that the cancer is gone. It was it was in December or Jan, and that February we or March, we went away on a weekend away with her. She was back to her old self, healthy, fun, energetic, doing her thing. And when we left that weekend away, the following week, she found out her cancer's back. And this time it was stage 4. There's really nothing they can do, but basically make her life very easy and comfortable. And then that's where I started to really crumble. Because now I know for a fact there's nothing we can do. The first time around, as I said, we're going to find all these treatments, and then it worked. And this time it didn't.
In reality, I'm sure hit you from a whole other...
It did. And then all this was happening during the time of COVID as well. Grant and myself, we lived out of KZN. My mom was living in KZN. We were not allowed to do inter-province travels. So not seeing your mom and not being able to be there and assist her during this journey was absolute torture for us. Luckily, we were allowed to, we got a letter from the doctor that allowed us to travel, and that's how we got back to KZN. And I'm glad and grateful that we did have that time to spend with her. You mentioned PTSD. I think I developed PTSD watching my mother die, because we were in the room with her. And even then, when you start seeing her take her last breath, you still try to feel, geez, what can I do? What can I do? And you start going into a panic. That has been life-altering and life-changing for me, losing my mom. And I think now, it's been 4 years, it's 4 years later. I think you've got to always look at the silver lining, because there's a question, why does God do this?
Everyone human.
That's
it.
it.
You're not supposed to question, but
that's it.
Human.
The question I always had, my mother was a career woman. She built up a very big career. And she literally worked up until the day she had to retire. She had plans now to travel the world and see the world. But she never got to do it. She didn't.
That's the sad part. She wanted to reap the benefits of all our hard work.
That's it.
And so, now this has to be...
Absolutely. And when she died, the question was, but why? Why, God? Why? It's so unfair. At the time, I didn't get the answer, or didn't even want the answer. But years later, I can tell you, the silver lining is that sometimes things have to crash down for you to be saved. I do feel my mother's cancer journey and what she went through, and the fact that she had to pass away, was her final way of getting me to see how my life needs to move in a different direction. So as sad as it is, I don't allow the sadness now to control and rule me.
The positives out of it.
I have to, because I have to be resilient in the situation.
And you're in a space now that you can see the positives, because when we're in that of losing someone, you can't see, and the usual line is be positive.
Yes.
And you actually can't see it in that moment. But as time goes on, as you say, then you start extracting the good.
You'd have to.
Sense that came out of it.
You'd have to, because you have to understand that life does go on. So the silver lining is that I'm no longer now going to mask my feelings and hide my feelings. I'm going to now start being more proactive on how I look at things and how I deal with situations. And it's been a good journey for me so far.
I think that as you said, masking your feelings, and I think that is so true. But I think that's the power of coming into midlife as well.
Yes,
it's a power of experiences, but also power coming into midlife where you don't find a need anywhere to have that mask. It's time, I take it off. If I got something on my chest, let me take it off. Then continue, because I think the previous generation did that. They held in so much, and they would sit with that strain and that mental strain of holding the world on their shoulders and not be able to speak it up, because you weren't allowed to speak it up. Let's be real, So I think it's so good that, and invigorating when you come into your 40s, that I can speak it out, and then speak it out and feel
you have that freedom now to actually own your feelings. So you're right, the previous generation didn't have that. It was a different time.
It's a whole different time.
They didn't have the privileges that we have today. So I'm glad we go through all these journeys, all these situations, and it really does build us up to being the strongness that we need to be where we are at right now in our lives.
I think going back to the PTSD, like I know we've had a chat once about when you were in hospital, and it's the smell of a hospital.
Yes.
And I can relate to that. As soon as you enter a hospital and the smell triggers all those memories from back then with the big C. And it's something that I know I personally have fought with for so many years, from losing my mum, losing my dad, fought with constantly because there's little things that bring about the PTSD. And yes, as time goes, you, as you would say, just put on your big old panties and get going.
Well, you have to.
That's it.
At some point, you're going to have to do that.
That's it. And you find ways to cope and also pinch yourself back to reality that it is.
I think also it's important for us to recognize that PTSD doesn't necessarily just come from one big moment or situation.
Yes.
PTSD could be growing up in a household where there's an abusive parent.
Yes.
Or growing up in a household where someone's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You could be bullied in school.
Yeah.
It creates something in us, and that's why there has to be a lot more awareness out there now of what post-traumatic stress disorder is. I can tell you, growing up, I always associated PTSD with a soldier. That they would, like people who go to war end up with this disease called PTSD, but it's not.
Yeah.
It affects everybody, all ages, male, female, whomever. And it's time we have to start understanding what, and then learning what causes the PTSD and how we can try to work ourselves through it and navigate our lives and start living with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we need to put more focus on it. Like me personally, when my boys were held up, and you think, hey, a kid at like 6 and a kid at how old was my older one? I think like 12 or so.
Yeah.
And 12 or 13. No, where are they going to have PTSD? No, you go through an experience like this.
Yeah, it does. It changes you.
It changes you. It could change you for the better, or it could change you for the worse. I mean, these kids could be saddled with this.
Yes.
For life till they're adults. So I think, we need to focus a lot on that and not specifically on adults or people in their 40s or it's on the whole, everyone experiences some kind of PTSD.
They do.
If you've gone through some kind of trauma.
Just even losing somebody that you love, it doesn't always have to be a bad situation.
Yes.
Just losing breaking up with a partner.
Oh, yes.
Breaking up with a friend.
Yeah.
Some people will have that PTSD on it.
So, with midlife comes a lot of change. I think we have friendships. We could have had friendships for years.
Yeah.
And then you kind of realize this doesn't work for me. We could have been part of circles for ages. But what's your take on that? How have you, in your personal life experience, what was the light bulb moment for you? Or do you still have your circles from back in them days and your friendships, or if not, how have they actually evolved, and what is it now that when you do meet someone, and what goes through your mind of when you think of, hey, I can have a relationship with this person, this can be like my friend, or in my what's even from your perspective now in your
that whole thing with friendships changes in each decade that you are in. Your teens, your 20s, your 30s, and now I'm in my 40s. Where I am right now is I'm very selective on who I choose to want in my life. I do have 1 or 2 friends that have been in my life over 2 decades. What I've learned is when I was younger, having hundreds of friends was like the be all and the end all.
It's a thing then.
It's a thing. You have all these friends, you can go out, you can do your thing, and
And the more the merrier.
The more the merrier.
Yes.
But it wasn't real.
Yeah.
And in your 30s, you start realizing that you need a little bit more of, where there's more of a stronger bond, stronger relationships. So more stability. Then the friend group of 100 suddenly becomes 50. And then you go through your 30s in that way. I think in your 40s, it's where when you find you've grown up. And you have to be able to be friends with somebody that's going to feed you.
Yeah.
Feed your soul.
Absolutely.
Not physically. You don't need friends to take you out and buy you stuff and do things like that. What they need to do is uplift you, motivate you, and push you forward. So with me right now, many years ago when I lived in Cape Town, I had a friend, and my friend was very old.
Okay.
She was about 68.
Okay.
And one day I said, so like, tell me about your friends. And she said to me, well, what friends?
Wow.
And then I said, well, what do you mean? Because, you live such a great life. And she said to me, I lived a great life. I had multiple people coming into my life. But I can tell you, when you reach a certain age, until you are able to count the friends in one hand, well, count how many fingers was 5 fingers. Yes. So your friends should only be able to fit on one hand, not two. And I couldn't understand it back then. Yeah. What does she mean by this? I mean, seriously?
Yeah.
Don't you want to be loved?
Exactly.
And now that I'm 42, I can honestly tell you, I can count my friends, because the word friend is a huge word.
Of course.
On my one hand. So as I said, I'm very selective. I need people that's going to empower me, to be around me. I need people that's going to protect me. I need people that's going to guide me, not people that's going to be with me for the good times.
Yes. Quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
And there through celebrate your successes, but also there when you're crawled up in a corner and you just need to be loved.
They've got to celebrate you.
Yeah, 100%.
So where I am right now with my friendships, I'm quite content. Yeah. I mean, we can laugh and giggle with each other. I have different age groups. I can enjoy myself with my 30-something-year-old friend. I have my 40-plus-year-old friend. You're probably one of them. And then I have friends in their 50s and in their 60s. And I enjoy that, because then I can take so much and use from the different genres of ages and use it in my own life. Yeah.
So looking back, if you look at your 20-something self, what advice, if you could go back in time? Gosh, we have a time machine that we can actually go back.
I would love
we'll change a lot of stuff. But what advice would you, the Keegan now, giving the Keegan in the 20s, what advice would you give?
Sure.
About love, about health, about life.
What I would tell my 20s self is, please do not get into long-term committed relationships.
Yeah.
I did that. I was in a long committed relationship at 20, thinking I know everything.
Yes.
But what I didn't know is that you start that, and then as the years go by, 21, 22, 23, you start changing and evolving and maturing, and suddenly the person that you started with is not, you are not the same and they are not the same. What you do then is you have wasted that. Well, you have early development with young kids. There's also early development when you transition from a teenager to a young adult in your early 20s. That is such an important time for you to start discovering who you are. So I would tell the 20-something person, please be single. Go out there and really live your life, enjoy your life, do everything you need to do. Because if you don't do it then, and you're going to turn 40, and then suddenly you want to be that 42-year-old.
The midlife crisis.
Do you understand?
Yes, where you want to be young and free.
That's it. Because you missed the time that you should have been doing it. I think the 20s is a lot of self-discovery. You don't actually know who you are. So go and do everything. Try everything. Have 50 boyfriends or girlfriends. Just don't commit yourself. What I will tell my 30s is that, well, my early 30s you should definitely start paying attention to health and exercise and mental well-being in your 30s. That is the
It sets the pace for
it
your
does.
40s.
It does. And it gets you going on when you enter this 40 and then bang, it hits you. You've already prepared for that.
Yes.
And I think 30s is the early 30s are the right age to start embarking on relationships. By then you have already figured out who you are. So you know exactly what the next person is going to be that would complement you. What you don't want is to find somebody who's going to change you. And a lot of people get it wrong in their 20s and their 30s. And then when they in these marriages and long-term relationships and they walk into their 40s, both people are two completely different people.
Yeah.
Then you are loggerheads and bickering. Then you blame it on midlife crisis. So that's what I would say. Is just take each decade to learn more about you.
I think that's so important because, there was this stigma that in your 20s, when I married at 25, and Desh and I look at each other sometimes and I'm like, what was I thinking at 25? I love him to bits. But I'm like, what was I thinking at 25? I should have been out there like living my best life.
You should have, yeah.
But there was always this kind of stigma to like Indian girls especially, right? No, a certain age you need to be married.
Yeah.
Because then you are totally a fossil if you pass 25 or even 28. My older sister, who's in her 50s, got married at 28 and she was literally, the middle sister. There's so many siblings. The middle sister got married at 28, but in society that was like,
old.
You are over the hill now, like, and we need to change,
we have to change
that stigma and narrative because
Absolutely.
women are now wanting to focus on their careers, even men as well.
Absolutely.
Focus on your careers, get established, get a good grounding, and then get into a proper relationship where you understand each other. And I think in your 30s, you're so much more mature and open and understanding of so much more of a relationship that it's for the long haul, basically, and in your 20s, where it's supposed to be self-discovery, I feel like we all pushed into, no, you got to get married, you know?
It's definitely been passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
I think we have to also sort of change that.
Yeah.
What worked for our ancestors are not necessarily going to work for us. The world has been evolving and it's been changing.
You better get with that.
We were at your launch party and I spoke to somebody there about like domestic abuse. And one of the persons that we were talking about was a mutual friend, and we spoke about how that person got married at like 22 and lived that miserable life till she was like 46, 47. That's why I say we sometimes what our parents teach us is the right way. But our parents were not exactly the know-it-alls as well. They also got a lot of things wrong.
Very different era.
Yes, absolutely.
So how they saw things in comparison to how we see things is very different.
Very, very different. So we have to start changing that old traditions. Just doing things that would work for us.
Yeah.
It's like having freedom within boundary.
Of course.
With our choices and decisions and what we want to do. So I wouldn't, that's what I would say. Don't try to live your life too fast.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Enjoy those moments, even those broken moments, because we gotta go through those broken moments to repair and mature and grow.
Absolutely.
So yeah. The other thing that also, like, I always think about this, there's so many people out there in their 40s, right, that kind of like look back or look in the mirror and go like, is this where I'm supposed to be? I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but I'm in my 40s. I'm in midlife.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not as old, I'm not as young. What do I do? Is it too late to restart? Is it, what do I do, And you find yourself in like such a confused situation because if you go back to your 20s or your 30s, no, I wasn't supposed to be here, This was what I needed more, I needed to do that. What's your advice to people? Yeah.
That's interesting because I was one of those people that would question where I should have been at a certain age group or certain stage in my life. because I did everything I should have done to get where I needed to be in terms of a career. I went to university, I got an honors degree, I embarked in that, what I needed to work in that industry.
Yeah.
And it just never take off.
Yeah.
I lived my 20s and my 30s without a career taking off. I was just an ordinary worker.
Yeah.
But I was surrounded by a lot of people whose careers were just booming.
Yeah.
Now I do understand that timing is everything.
Of course.
I'm quite spiritual and religious, so I always say it's always in God's timing. I'm glad I realized that now, but at the time, it bothered me. I used to be quite depressed and frustrated all the time. But now I always say, don't feel that you have to have everything that everybody else has. Rome was never built in a day.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially when it comes to where you need to be.
Yeah.
However, like 20 years later, and my career decided it's going to start booming.
Yeah.
And well, I decided to
with
get
spinal up and everything.
That's it.
Yeah.
I had now spinal surgery, diabetic, and I'm having quite a booming career.
Yeah.
Time will come for when you need to experience what was destined for you.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's not stop stressing about things.
Yeah.
You know, but then at the same time, don't be stand still and lazy. You know, set the groundwork.
Yeah, of course, you got to have a vision.
That's it. Yeah, put your vision out there. Do
really
your
see
thing.
yourself in the next 2 years,
That's it.
3 years,
Yeah.
5 years. Be realistic as well.
Yeah.
You know, but put it out there.
Absolutely.
Because when you see it and you know, you constantly, you're like,
Yes.
this is my focus. This is what I want. You will make it happen.
Yes, definitely.
You know? So so when you look back at life, your life, from your marriage to your fur baby, to your partner, to your career, to everything, what's your legacy that you would want to leave behind?
Oh, geez, that's another deep question. Exactly right.
I had to hit you with that. I had to.
The legacy that I would like to leave back is never giving up, always putting yourself forward, always being kind, always being caring, always being empathetic to other people. That's the type of legacy I would like. In fact, in my own business, that's our motto.
Oh, lovely.
You know, like live your life empathetically.
Yes.
We cannot be nasty to people. We must be there to help, empower, and move people forward.
Absolutely.
I've had a very great 42 years. I've had lots of highs, lots of lows, lots of in-betweens. I wouldn't change it for anything, including those very sad moments of losing my mom. Everybody wants their mom with them forever. But as I said earlier, you have to go through certain things to become the person that you are. So I wouldn't change anything. I would definitely say live your truth and continue shining by just being yourself.
Oh, beautiful. Brilliant. So finally, if your life were a book, Keegan's autobiography, for lack of other words of what we would name this book, which I'm sure there's plenty, what chapter do you think we would be in right now? What would that chapter be called? Yeah.
Oh, wow. This chapter, I think, would probably be called Living with Keegan as he navigates his big, beautiful, sexy brain.
I love it. Love it. I think when we are writing that autobiography of you, I remember that chapter. But Keegan, thank you so much for giving us an insight into you, into a male brain, you know, into same-sex marriage, into a lot, PTSD, anxiety. It just goes to show that we all belong to this huge nation called human, and we all go through
Same
the
thing.
same thing.
Yeah.
But if we just speak it out
Yeah, and help each other.
We will help each other. Just a little inkling of kindness goes such a long way with a huge dash of love. So thank you. It's been our pleasure to have you in the hot seat. I'm sure this is not going to be the first and last, guaranteed. So guys, there's truth bombs and hot flushes. If you would like to see more, hear more, please do subscribe to YouTube. Follow us on all social media platforms, and interesting, hot, lovely topics to come. So stay tuned, guys.